RotoGrinders, good morning. Happy New Year to those that celebrate. Usual suspects here on Week 17, formerly the information slate. It's also an information slate, but just Week 18. Buckle up on that one. That's going to be goofy. You think Week 17 is goofy. Week 18 is going to hold its beer. It's kind of a lack of information, actually. We'll talk about it. A lot of stuff out there. Some stuff out there is kind of murky. Motivation. We do have 13 games at least, so in theory, we definitely have a bigger player pool. We'll see if we actually have some good plays to pick from. We got the Rainmaker himself, Kid Yahoo. It's Kirkwood, Kirkdiese. Happy New Year. What's up, dude?
Yo, Happy New Year. Wouldn't want to break in the new year with anyone else, Dean.
Really though? Come on.
Yeah, I enjoy it. It's over the years I feel like we've become a lot closer these days. So I'm happy to be here for a show. I'm trying to figure out my lineups right now, just like everyone. I also realized I didn't enter my Rainmakers yet, so I'm going to be scrambling. I got to go to the Mrs. Family's house right after the show, so I'm going to be building lineups in the car. It looks like, but I got
Don't they know about DFS and your livelihood? Like you should come over.
They don't care. They do not care. They don't. They get to the point where they say, "I don't give a shit. You're going to be there." That's what it gets said.
Do you have to socialize like at 12:30, like 30 minutes before lock, or can you sit in the corner or sit in the couch and just knock out your lineups?
I got to play that by ear. It depends.
Maybe
the baby's a distraction.
Well, you throw a baby on them, that'll keep me busy for a half hour.
Exactly.
Like
Yeah, exactly.
That's a good move, actually. 2 birds, 1 stone, right?
Yeah.
I try to leave after lock. Like, there's no way.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm not trying to entertain conversations.
I don't have a choice today.
But it seems like Kirky doesn't have a choice. Yeah.
Yeah, you got to pick your spots, I suppose. I understand. I get it. Bobby, how was your New Year's? How are you feeling this morning? You excited about Week 17?
It was good. I went to a wedding on New Year's. Weddings on New Year's when you're in your 20s probably aren't the greatest, but as you get older, they're not as bad. Because what else are you really doing on New Year's Eve? I know most people hate weddings on New Year's, but yeah, it was a good time. So
I've never been to one. I didn't know that was a thing. Is it cheaper to rent the hall or more expensive? I don't know.
I don't know. It might be cheap. Oh, it might be cheaper, I would imagine, because wedding season around here is like the fall. So,
but could they use that space for like a New Year's party?
That's what I was thinking too. Interesting.
I don't know.
How late did you stay to the wedding?
Past midnight, past ball drop, and then we Irish goodbye. So
I love it.
Yeah. You get an Irish goodbye at weddings.
I wonder if that's true. I mean, if in Ireland nobody says goodbye, everybody just leaves. I have no idea. I've never been to Ireland.
You can also call it. There's a Dutch. It's the Dutch version is a Dutch leave. That's the thing. Irish goodbye, Dutch, same thing. But that's what they call it, the Dutch leave.
Okay, I'm only aware of the Dutch, the oven. The oven. That's their thing.
That's a good one too, Dean. I'd be very scared of your Dutch oven. I'll tell you that right now.
I don't know if there's anybody's that's like particularly appealing, but all right, this entire slate's like a Dutch oven. All right, hey, 13 gamer Kirkwood, I rely on you on Sunday morning sometimes. Like when you take a stand and you give a hard sales pitch, I listen and I believe sometimes. I am willing to listen to you today because I am really, really open as far as my favorite plays. This slate is a lot of plays that are just sort of like fine, but nothing. Well, I wouldn't say nothing, but a lot of things that aren't spectacular. Something's up in the air later on in the day. Green Bay, we don't know about their receivers. Christian Watson's currently questionable. We don't know about the Jags' motivation. Allegedly, the Jags are going to give it a go, and they're just going to try their best, and that's that. And like they're going to play their plays, despite the fact that next week is really what matters for them. And this week doesn't really matter so much. There's a few percentage points that, like, theoretically they can still lose and get in. Or win this week, I guess, and lose next week. Do you have any teams that you're afraid of, Kirkwood? Any players that you're just like, I don't trust that this is going to go the way we think it's going to go. These coaches are lying to us, and for whatever reason, their competitive advantage. Who are the liars out there?
I'm scared of everybody.
So am I.
I think they're all liars. So I'm a little cynical about everything, but I don't know, man. I'm at the point I am right now. I'm like realizing too chalky. Like I was ahead of the curve this week, like on like my lineup building, and like I fell in love with some of my lineups early.
Yeah.
But now they're all becoming like major chalk, and I was hoping we would get like news later, you know. Like I was hoping the Hopkins news I was hoping like wouldn't come out and people would thought he was going to play, and the
Greg Dortch.
Yeah, so that he unlocks so much in lineup building.
Yeah, we'll have that conversation. Different quarterback, obviously, for him. The quarterback now, it's Mr. Blau.
Mr. Blau.
That's his name.
Yeah, David
that
Blaine.
Name again.
I call him David Blaine. I call him David Blaine.
What, is he a magician back there? Why would you call him David Blaine?
Because it's close, David Blau.
But it's a completely different occupation. And David Blaine's a famous illusionist / I guess he's a magician.
It's his official nickname, Dean. I didn't make it up.
I don't believe that's his official nickname. I don't think that's true. Check the Wikipedia. I'm not buying it. Can you confirm or deny this, Bobby?
I can confirm it. It's David Blaine.
Yeah, he knows. AKA the magician.
That's only Blaine Gabbard, I think. If we're going to work out that last name as well, but yeah, that's. Are you playing? Is your main quarterback right now Goff?
I was like against that forever, and now I've landed on it. But I think the right move is probably to just play Fields. But I really like my lineups with Goff, and it feels like I know like Jamal Williams could troll this game. Like he's like the untalked about play.
Oh yeah,
and it feels kind of scary to me to have Goff. But like in the dome. The Bears defense is Swiss cheese. I really like DJ Shark. I feel like he's like a lock for a long touchdown in this game.
Okay.
So there's a lot of ways to play it. Amon-Ra is obvious, you know, but so basically I'll just tell you like, so what my construction, we'll get there, but like I'm going different at running back is where I'm taking.
I think that's an easy way to be different. There's like 10 guys that are all sort of the same, different degrees of the same. Is that fair to say or no?
Yeah, you're not going to like my two guys, I don't think. But
is one of them DeAndre Swift?
No, whoever the jerk who made the comment like Jamal Williams got injured on our pod in there. I'm kidding, he's not a jerk, he's a good guy. But I touted him on the pod. I tout Swift every single week. I try to make it happen. I probably will play a little of him today, but like no, it's the two plays we got to on our show, and I've fallen in love with them. So, is Algiers one of them? No, but I do like him. He's a
I like one of the guys Kirkwood's talking about.
Now I'm curious. Do you know the answer? You got the answer?
I know the answer. Yeah.
Okay. There are two running backs.
I don't know the second. Kirk, what's the second one?
I mean, that's a good guess by chat. Kirk has David Montgomery. But
that's the shock guess. It's a good guess.
Is it Khalil Herbert?
No, it's Cam Akers.
Yeah, I like Akers. That's a good call.
It's the ran. I'm going down. I'm going.
So you're not playing on FanDuel.
No, I'm playing DraftKings and Yahoo.
Okay. Do you know what FanDuel did this week or no? Are you aware of? Are you playing over there this week?
They missed. They just like Yahoo. They messed up the game.
Oh, they did the same thing on Yahoo. I didn't know that.
Yeah, exact same thing.
Yeah, well, there was a late swap out as far as the games. FanDuel was including the 8:00 game, Baltimore, and they do not have the LA game.
Same with Yahoo.
Okay, yeah, I'm not playing on Yahoo, so I didn't know that, but that's peculiar, I suppose. I guess they got their games out there really early, and the game was swapped out a little bit later, where nobody was on top of it. Somebody hit the button. Talk to me about what Cam Akers is somebody I haven't really thought about much because. Yeah, he's not terribly relevant for some stuff for me, but to sell me on Akers. I mean, I know obviously it feels like a chase a little bit. Tell me why it's not a chase.
Akers, I mean, he's getting all everyone's talking about James Conner usage, but Cam Akers is doing the same thing these last couple of weeks, and he looked ridiculously good in the last time. They have a bad offensive line, so that's a problem. I think. The Chargers are kind of frauds. Their defense against the run has been a nightmare all season long. This is just going to be another pound Cam Akers game, and he's cheap. And I also like the Rams D, to be honest with you.
Oh wow, are they like 2K?
They're 2,400.
Okay. I think aren't the Chargers getting back Bosa this week for what it's worth? I feel like they are.
Yeah,
I don't
but
think, yeah, they've always had a bad run D even with Bosa. So
Okay, yeah, just throwing it out there. I feel like he had the activation window, and I assume he was activated. And I'm not somebody that knows every defensive player, but obviously he's somebody that tends to matter. Bobby, what is your overview before we kind of break it down and get into it? And yeah, we mentioned that the Detroit-Chicago game, one game in the 50s as far as the total. It's Detroit at home in the Dome against Chicago, Swiss cheese. Chicago, how much are they going to punch back? A curious question. I know Kirkwood today likes Fields. Fields was bad last week. He didn't run last week. He supposedly wanted to break the quarterback rush record, and he had like 15 yards. And this feels like a great spot to bounce back, and there's really nobody to pair with him except maybe you can pair Komet. Sure, you do that. I think Claypool is active for what it's worth. But, yeah. And then after that, we have totals 47, 48. We have a bunch of quarterbacks that probably I don't say shouldn't be in the league, but definitely shouldn't be starting. The slew of names that are starting this week is pretty putrid. But yeah, what is standing out for you as far as this week? What are you honing in on? Week 17, your big bowl points are what?
Yeah, it seems like a lot of ownership's congesting around the Lions-Chicago game, obviously with the total being what it is and the lack of high totals everywhere else in the slate. I like Fields. I think he's a really good bounce back play this week. But like Kirky, I feel like I'm paying down more to a Goff at QB and 5K QBs. I'm kind of taking it into consideration a little bit more. We talked about on the Term and Take show, Teddy Bridgewater. I think he's in an interesting pivot spot in terms of a game stack in that New England Miami game. So I don't hate that. And then, yeah, basically a lot of the ownership's congesting, but I think for good reason. So I'll probably have pieces from that Chicago Detroit game. Kirky mentioned DJ Chark. I think he's a very good play. I think Jamal Williams is a good, not talked about play, pretty much as Kirky just alluded to. So there are pieces I want from that game just because the total is what it is. But definitely like the idea of getting to a Jalen Waddle or a Tyreek Hill in that New England Patriots.
They're going to be so ignored, both those guys.
Miami game, yes. Very ignored.
I saw Teddy's really, really cheap on FanDuel. He's like $6K on FanDuel. That's $3K per glove, I believe. If you kind of do the math, it's pretty good. And the cap is sort of tight. I was making a lot of before the show, and there's at least one player you don't love. It's I guess, but Teddy does kind of sort of open stuff up. Would you double stack those because we know about those guys get everything, right? If they're cooking, they both get there.
They get everything. It worries me double stacking them with Teddy, but my current lineup,
yeah.
I do have them double stacked. I'm building 2 more. We'll see how it goes.
Do you want to say what's up to the chat? They joined the conversation. They're basically the fourth man in the booth. Kindly hit that like button, subscribe, turn on those notifications. 2.5 hours taking y'all straight up the lock. You got Ebeimfohr following us, as well as I believe. Let's pull up if the TastefulTides is going to be here, Tim, as well. Andre, $1 million winner, TheLuuch, and producer Rob's going to be on as well. I imagine he'll be host. No, he's probably not. Well, I'm not sure who's hosting that show. Maybe it is TheLuuch. And it'll be producer Rob, who does a lot of good work over there at Spike Week with Ebeimfohr as well. It looks like we have some season-long questions, Kirkwood. I know you asked for them. It wasn't specified, but Michael's saying Dortch or Gabe Davis, and that my spidey sense is telling me that's a season-long question.
My season long is over, so I can't.
You retired. I thought you were a man of the people. Once your season's over, that's that.
Yeah, it's we're on vacation. We've already left to Mexico. We're having fun.
Davis playing against Cincinnati. Dortch, I don't know, man. I mean, look, I haven't done a lot of thought into that, but that game, I wish that was in the main slate.
I would play Davis, but
so would I. And that's kind of where I'm at as well. And I don't know if Michael's poking the bear or not, but can we get a Tom Brady endorsement from someone? Anyone? Does anyone want to endorse Tom Brady? It's not coming from me.
It's not coming for me either this week.
He's getting. I'm wondering. No one's going to play. So I'm curious today on Yahoo because he's getting spit out in optimals for some companies projections. But
Brady is?
and there's a lot of
Yeah.
projection slaves out there. Just they just hone in on that projection, play that optimal. So we'll see if they actually click that name or not. I'm very, very curious. I bet you they probably don't, but I want to see.
Aaron Rodgers.
Bobby Wood though. Hey,
Does anybody want to Bobby?
Speaking of Bobby, we've got Bobby Fry in the chat.
What's up, Bobby? Happy New Year to you as well, Bobby. It's got to be.
How's it going?
It's got to be what I assume he's out there on the West Coast or before 8 o'clock in the morning, waking up early, grinding the NFL slates. Aaron Rodgers, we kind of mentioned him in passing, and like there's some moments this year, several times. It's like, well, this is the Aaron Rodgers week. We remember this guy, Hall of Famer, first ballot, yada yada. He's kind of stunk every single week. I don't want to say stunk, but he hasn't been necessary 1 week the entire season. Does anybody think this is the week to play Aaron Rodgers? He's been roping up on us all season long, and his biggest DK score all season long, I think, is below Blackjack. It's below 21. Yeah, it's just been bad. He's not been good. He plays slow. He's $6K, reasonable price. He should have some ready-made pairings. We're not sure about Watson just yet. If not Watson, there's Lazard, there's Dobbs. Minnesota, of course, is a really great defense to attack. I'm just not going to have as much Rodgers as the Fields. Does anybody want to make – is this the week for Rodgers? Or are you guys with me on this? Because I'm not going to play much.
Don't forget Randall Cobb is one of those wide receivers.
What year is this show taking place in?
Chuck it to today. I don't – it's a tough spot for Rodgers, especially with Christian Watson just up in the air. I think I would just play Watson or try to play some Watson. It's going to be more difficult with the fact that it's a later game. But, yeah, I don't know. At the beginning of the week, I liked Rodgers. Then I realized Watson was questionable. If he was more of a sure thing, I would have more interest. Because of the time of the game, it just becomes very difficult. Outside of that, not really. I prefer Brady at 6-1. I'm not playing Brady, so it tells you basically how I feel about this whole situation. I'm on the side.
Oh, go ahead.
No. I got my camera's messed up.
Oh, no worries. Kirkwood, Goff, about 20% as far as our ownership projection. He's probably going to be your cash game guy. We're certainly on DK. I think that's your cash game. I guess other people are getting Brady, but I think Goff is the one that makes the most sense. And it's just goofy that Jared Goff is like the chalk quarterback. But that's sort of where we're at. On the other side, Fields is getting some love as well. Purdy looks fine. San Francisco is one of those teams where, are they going to go all out? Do they need to? How much can they really shuffle up as far as their positioning? I would love Lawrence if he was fully motivated here against Houston, and if you believe them, Kirkwood. And he also had that toe where he was questionable a couple days ago. I don't know what to do with Trevor Lawrence, but theoretically, I like him. Then Minshew for Philadelphia is cheap enough, and he's got nice weapons surrounding him. Of course, if you have all the money in the world, Mahomes is great, but how much is Denver going to punch back is sort of the question there. That team, definitely wants to hit the sim button, it feels like. Speaking of, they want to go to Mexico and just go on vacation and have themselves a good time and hang out on the beach. So feels like that's that Denver Bronco team can use a vacation for sure. Giants team that's motivated. Daniel Jones, perfectly fine. I think the best running back, possibly the best running back in the slate. And Barkley, we'll talk about him in a second. But, give me the pivot quarterbacks if you're not playing Goff. I know you said that Goff's like where you landed. And I don't know, you feel – it sounded like you feel a little icky about it, which you should. You should feel a little icky about that, like getting the Goff chalk. But, you're going to be surrounding it with different stuff, obviously, to shuffle things up. But the rundown as far as other quarterbacks here, Kirkwood, that, kind of sort of somewhat appeal to you, give me the pivots.
I mean, it's unfortunately, I'm looking back at Aaron Rodgers, right? And I get it. He's been terrible. But, this defense is Swiss cheese. And Bobby said, we said that on the show, he just always finds an excuse to try to throw the ball to Randall Cobb. And it's ridiculous. Plus they slow down the game too a lot, which is a concern, but he's cheap and this defense Swiss cheese. They're rolling, at least from a winning perspective. He still makes some good throws. He definitely has been horrible this season, but I can risk it with him. But I think Justin Fields is the right play just to take the opposite side. And I think you can play him naked, but I like Cole Kmet, obviously. I think playing him naked will be kind of different, I think. So I don't know. I don't have quite a feel on how people are doing with Fields, but I know that everyone's going to look for an excuse not to play Trevor Lawrence because of this, even though the coach speak said like no one trusts it. And I do kind of trust it that they're playing. There's a legitimate chance for that. I mean, it's not legitimate. It's like
5%.
6%, yeah, 5 to 7% or 6% or something. They're saying, but like this is like playoff football and this is everything. And so like, and if there is still a chance that it does make a difference, then they're going to go out there and play. I think so, and not worry about the rest. So, and it's Houston, and it's a good matchup, and they're, you know, his he's honed in on his weapons. I mean, like I've been playing Zay Jones all year. I'm not like one of these people that think he's terrible. I've never thought he's terrible. And then Evan Ingram, I mean, has come out of the woodworks and just.
He's kind of chalky, which is so weird, but like it's deserved, I guess, right?
Yeah. I probably not playing Ingram, but I get it. I'll probably play Cole Kmet. This is the way that I'm going, but yeah, I don't know. It's that, and then the answer, it's like every slate, it's like we forget about Mahomes, and the answer is always Mahomes.
Yeah. Find the salary for Mahomes. He's going to lock up the MVP, right? If that's not already locked up just yet with Hurts not being available. I think he's not that far away from 5,000 yards. I know he's got another week to do it. I'm not sure we're not next week. Maybe he sits. I have no clue. Denver's got a good defense, but like their offense is going to put them in bad predicaments, I presume. We'll see. And by the way, you mentioned talking about the Jags, like, oh, they're playing against Houston. It's Houston. What about the Jags? Like, who are they? They're the Jags. The audacity of them to think about resting players. You're Jacksonville. You have been relevant since the days of Mark Brunell. Like, they're trying to build a winning culture around there. Maybe they want to just put a stamp on the season. And of course, next week is what really, really matters against Tennessee, which I want to start the line of betting against Tennessee with Jacksonville. I think Jacksonville destroys them. That's a whole other conversation. It's just DFS. All we care about is this week and this week only. That's it. Anything else as far as quarterbacks, or shall we jump to running backs? You guys, anything else to say as far as quarterbacks? Or
I like Mike White.
He's got some cheap pairings.
Yeah,
Elijah Moore is really cheap.
And if you just look at his pass attempts when he plays, and that's all you really need to know. And they don't have like a really strong run game, and he's going to sling it. I mean, ridiculous number of attempts. So no one's playing this guy, and Garrett Wilson is massive chalk. And this is in his last 2 games that he actually played. He had 57 pass attempts against Minnesota, 44 against Buffalo. Now, Buffalo is a tough matchup for sure. Minnesota was an easy matchup and he didn't do great. But, like, give me a guy who's going to go back and pass. I know it's low ADOT stuff, but, like, Garrett Wilson is a different beast now, and he's going to he brings some big play potential. So I like White a lot. I think he's an easy pivot down there.
Yeah, I don't mind that. How do you feel about Lockett on the other side? Lockett really, really cheap on FanDuel. And question in chat from Nat, like Lockett and Lazard. Lazard should benefit if Watson doesn't play. He's still in play for sure. It's true game time decision there for Green Bay. Yeah, it just curiously as far as, do you think Lockett's fine? Like I think it's a hamstring. He's expected to give it a go. Seattle, the Jets, both those teams are live playoffs. 25% chance they both have to win out. I think they need some luck as well. But yeah, you feel okay. You're trusting Lockett, and then Lockett versus Lazard.
I don't trust Lockett the guy just got like a surgically repaired hand. Didn't sound very good. Sounded to me like more of a decoy. Maybe he'll be fine, but I don't trust that whatsoever. Lazard, I do like, especially if you think that Watson is going to be dinged up a little bit and more of a decoy if he even does play. I think he will play, but Lazard, makes a lot of sense. Like that's one of the ways, and I know a lot of people, this is nothing that's like groundbreaking, but one of the ways for differentiating my lineups is I'm not playing CMC today. I'm playing, Justin Jefferson. So the bring back with Lazard is great. I got to take a sip of water.
Bobby, how do you feel about that as far as big spends? I know it's different positions. CMC, it's interesting because I feel like Jefferson is kind of like in his own tier, and like there's less competition. Anything can happen, but Like McCaffrey, I'm a little bit concerned as far as how much work they need out of him. They're thinking playoffs. They're thinking long term. It's a team that's had several injuries. They can't afford to lose another player, obviously. But the matchup against the Raiders, perfectly solid. And then Jefferson, Minnesota's, I guess they have a 1% chance or 2% chance to get that number 1 seed in the NFC. Unlikely, but they locked up their division. Obviously, they would love to knock the Packers out. I'm sure. There's that conversation with Jair about Jair saying it was fluky that Jefferson was good week 1. Probably not fluky. He's the best receiver in football. He's also going for, I think, the record, not that far from 2,000, or a couple hundred from 2,000. I think the actual record for a season. There's some motivation there, and also Jefferson's really good. As big spends go, I think the pool of big spend receivers is not nearly as good as the pool of running backs. So I prefer Jefferson, long story short, as far as starting my lineup with a big spend. Do you agree with that? Jefferson versus CMC?
I'm on the other side. I like CMC.
Oh.
I think he's the play today. I think they're going to see short fields. I think we're underestimating how bad Stidham is, right? Stidham is very bad. So
he was a Patriot, right? So you saw a lot of him?
Yeah, he's an Instagram influencer. He's not an NFL star. So yeah, I like CMC. He's my favorite play. Jefferson's a good play in tournaments, and obviously if you wanted to pivot, it's fine. 9K to 9,500. They are both on the pricey end of the spectrum for the slate. So you could say maybe fading, maybe going to a Tyreek or going to guys that are in the upper 7-8K range, in terms of spends, like a Barkley might be a way to differentiate the construction. Because I feel like most people are going to end up on CMC or Jefferson as their big spend for what it's worth.
What's your take there, Kirkwood? You feeling better?
Yeah, I think I gave a cough to everybody, but yeah, I mean, my take is Jefferson. That's the way I'm going. CMC. First of all, Bobby loves CMC, so
I do
take it with a grain of salt. It's one thing I've learned on the pod. But what's not to love? The guy's absolutely incredible. The everything points to CMC in this, right? His usage, although that's taken a tick down last week. Then we wonder if they're up, are they going to take the foot off the gas with him and just go through the motions here? And then, but this is the best pass catching back in football, and it's the best pass catching matchup in football. The Raiders, they just get diced through running back pass. They're dead last in that in DVOA running back pass. This is a great matchup, so I don't have a lot to say there, but I just think the ceiling is higher for Jefferson in a game that's kind of a huge playoff implication games. And give me the wide receiver with more upside, but you can make builds that you can fit them both.
Is that something you've considered? I guess you're not going to do that necessarily with your main team, but then all of a sudden you're kind of putting yourself in. Okay, now I'm going to play some Dortch, and I'm going to play some Elijah Moore. I'm going to get a punt tight end or something like that, or maybe get
it's the punt tight end. It's the punt tight end, but you have some options on. I mean, Woods is a beast, and Grayson's out, and he's just like Chig to me, right? These are just guys that should demand targets. So if I was a quarterback, elite out there, I would just be out there feeding them. I mean, there's people out there that probably have a lot of time just talking about their combine scores. They just sit there and go, oh yeah.
You can go to playerprofiler.com, and it's a quick cheat. Yeah, that's where I would look. But I'm curious now. Now I want to know who his biggest comp is. Let's pull this up on the fly. Just let's see. Ed Dixon. That doesn't wow me. Okay.
Can you refresh it and give me a different answer? Can you say
Ed Dixon was serviceable at one point in time for the Ravens.
Yeah,
do you want that on your epitaph? Here lies Bobby Gomes. He was serviceable.
Yeah, he wasn't horrible. I remember the name. It's a decade and a half ago.
Yeah. I mean, you do remember the name. That's true. You remember who he was. His speed score 94th percentile, burst score 94th percentile, catch radius 98th percentile. There you go. That I can just hear that these people love this stuff, right?
You know how Foles loves a big receiver, so we're talking about Woods, right?
Yeah. That's right. We're jumping around.
Yeah, I don't hate Woods. I think Woods is a good call.
According to Herbert Good, your boy there, Kirkwood, he says Jelani is Gronk Jr. That seems like a big step. The comp wasn't Gronk for what it's worth. It was that.
You know what? It's a new year. There's a real chance that Herbert Good was only the mush for last year. So we got to give him a chance here today to turn things around. I mean, it could be completely different this year. So if he's saying he's like Gronk Jr., then let's ride with him. The other concerning thing about San Francisco is, TDP has been getting, he got some workload. He got significant amount of rushing attempts. Got no passing, which again, that's a big thing. But like, if this game is just bad, right, overall, right, and everyone's playing, I mean, that's going to be such a chalky pair in CMC and 49ers defense, right? Like everybody's playing that, right?
On
like,
DK, they goofed in the San Francisco price. It seems like, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm just trying to get different there, and that's the spot. So I'm going Justin Jefferson for the upside. Play two of the cheaper running backs that I already talked about, and then play the Rams D cheaper. And I'm going to live or die by that today.
Bob, did you have your 30 seconds on defense?
We talked about it. I like the Rams as well. I like Houston 2-5. I think they're interesting. And then like this defense, like I said, it's Stidham. They're 2-9. Like, don't fully fade this San Francisco 49ers defense. Like, you want to play these guys.
Yeah, I mean, the tout's going to tell you, the generic tout's going to tell you, like, you're not allowed to play San Francisco defense because they're Eric's going to come on.
I think that's such a horrible take, just to say, just to put it out there. Like,
but you've heard this before. Like, you just.
I've heard it. Yeah, it's not a good take though.
Yeah, and Atlanta also, by the way, I should mention it because Atlanta's 2-7 versus Mr. Blau, the quarterback there for Arizona, is 2-7. It's in a dome. You like a little bit of elements, but it probably shouldn't go well for Arizona. But we should talk about James Conner, by the way, because they have James Conner signed for 2 more years. Why are they running this dude into the ground and meaningless carries? I don't understand it. He's got a history of injuries too.
I don't think it makes any sense, but they're going to do what they want to do.
They got to get rid of Cliff.
Yeah, they got to get rid of Cliff. That's like the big
maybe that's what it is. Like Cliff just doesn't care because he's not going to be there in 2 years. Maybe.
Yeah, I can see that.
I mean, look at his snaps. They're ridiculous. 95%, 91%, 97% the last 3 weeks.
Yeah. I'm just saying, like, I feel like the rug is going to get pulled out and, like, Connor's, like, just not going to play nearly as much either this week or next week. Like, that's what should happen. But, like, I don't know if that's going to happen. Like, it just doesn't make any sense. Even the player is probably like, dude, I'm a running back. I only have so many miles on me. I have a history of injuries. Like, why 95%?
No, I bet you he's loving it because he wants to get paid as like doing a good job.
Yeah, I bet you he likes it too because it just benefits him.
He's got 2 more years of. He's already locked in, but like, what's next contract? He's got to stay upright before he signs the next one. I don't. It's just tricky, and but Connor theoretically.
You just get on the LeBron plan, and he'll be all right.
Oh, you know what dude, the people are the worst. That everybody just assumes. It's not worth getting into that tweet.
How do you not assume that though? I assume that.
What? Because this entire profession is.
I knew what Kirk was hinting at without him even.
He spends $1 million on nutritionists and getting in shape and all that. Like all that, and people think that's the only reason why he looks like that too.
Nutritionist.
Yeah, that's the only reason. Yeah,
Dean is the girlfriend who's like, my boyfriend, he's huge. He just works out a lot. I'm telling you, he works out every day, all the time.
He doesn't use anything to enhance his.
He told me he's all natural.
Makeup. $1 million. Like, what's he using it?
Whatever it is, I don't know. He spends a lot of money on his body and nutrition. That's his
he
job.
does.
This is going to set people off.
It doesn't mean it's the right stuff. It doesn't mean it's nutritionists.
By the way, Alex in chat's asking who would play instead of Connor. It would be Conte Ingram, but like I'm not banking on that happening. It feels like it should happen, but I'm not assuming it would happen.
You're not playing Keontae Ingram.
No, yeah, I was just answering the question, but yeah, I can't imagine because you're really threading a needle there because he might have like 2 snaps or 0 snaps. Like it doesn't make. Yeah, you're not doing that. But that was just during the question. Yeah, and Jared's asking about Atlanta defense. Yeah, it's going to be Atlanta and San Fran. is going to have like 40% of the ownership on DK with defenses. And, it's the most volatile position. It's hard to predict pick sixes. And if one team breaks through with two of them, that's like 1% owned. And all of a sudden, you're so far ahead of the field. Hey, let's hit up running backs. Give me the rundown here, Bobby. I know you talked about CMC. There is a lot of other options. A lot of Robinson now in the absence of Gibson. I don't know how much that changes his situation, but certainly doesn't hurt him. Barkley, I think, is an awesome big spend. Stevenson, we're getting what's his name is back, right, for New England. Why am I forgetting his name? The Harris is back for New England. I don't know how much that hurts Stevenson. Doesn't help him. Miles Sanders, there was like 3 or 4 running backs there in Philly. They never really know who's going to be running it in. Sometimes the quarterback is probably not going to be Minshew, but Sanders is certainly in play. Algier, we kind of mentioned earlier. Walker looks really good if he's healthy. I assume he's going to give it a go and try his best. Not much behind him, and they have all the incentive in the world, Seattle. They have to win out. There's a lot of these guys that, you can tell yourself a story on all of them being, in play. Do you have any favorites amongst those, Bobby? Or feel free to add something to the conversation.
I'm gonna have a pretty tight player pool at running back. Brian Robinson, he's the guy. He's getting all the work in Washington. I feel like he's the spot versus Cleveland is just ridiculous. He's gonna be very chalky. I think he's a good play at 5'2". Miles Sanders 5'9". Like, I think it's a totally different situation going from Hurts to what's his name, Minshew. So yeah, I like Sanders a little bit. I like the price tag. Algier at 5'3" versus Arizona. Algier, like we talked about this also on the tournament, he looks like a baller. Like I think he's gonna continue to see more work in that offense, especially because Cordell Patterson's kind of long in the tooth. So don't mind me some Algier. James Conner getting all the work at 7,200 and in 150 backs. I definitely have some of him. Barkley versus Indiana, like the whole offense runs through him. So at 8K, I think he's my second favorite spend relative to McCaffrey. McCaffrey at 9K. I'm going like backwards in terms of price tag, but McCaffrey is the running back I'll definitely have the most of today. I just think 9K versus the Raiders. He's someone I want to get to, especially because I think they're going to have a ton of short fields. And he busted for everyone last week. Now that it's going to defer people from playing him, but for the little ownership decrease we might get when people like Kirky go to Jefferson, you can play some CMC. But more people are going to play CMC anyways. So Jefferson, obviously a good tournament play either way. Yeah, and we talked about JSU talked about Khalil Herbert on our show at 4K. His snaps are going to increase. Montgomery's up at 6,900. They like Khalil Herbert. He's a very good running back. I don't mind in large field GPPs taking a shot on Herbert.
I'm a little surprised that Barkley's less owned than McCaffrey when you consider salary. I get it, but I like the incentive that Barkley has more so than McCaffrey does, the motivation. The matchup, of course, is good for both. Kirkwood, I want your thoughts as far as those two, the big spend running back, McCaffrey versus Barkley. I need a Ramondre take too, and feel free to add color to anybody else if you'd like.
Okay, so first of all, Saquon, phenomenal play. I'm with you there. Like, it just makes this is such an important game for them too, and like it just makes sense for them to just pound with Saquon. So I'm in there. You want my Ramondre take? I don't know. He's crushing me every week. But I think he's a fine play. He would have been like an elite play if Harris wasn't around. But like they're gonna give Harris work. Like that's gonna happen. Harris is, if he's healthy, he's come back. They're just gonna give Harris work. So it's a split field. You got to run well. He's gonna have to hit pay dirt to pay off, and he very well might. And his ownership's going to tank, I think. Like, he started out as the chalk this week, but it definitely has been trending down because of the Harris situation. So, but I think he's fine. So I'm not excited to play him. I'm excited to play Leonard Fournette. I'm telling you, like, why Bobby wants to get all his money back with Brady this season. Like, you get it all back by just playing Leonard Fournette.
I forgot about Fournette. I will definitely.
Because Brady showed us one thing in that game. in his last game that he can still throw a screen pass. You know,
I mean, that's
Leonard Fournette.
Like most 45.
Fournette got 10 targets. No one's talking about his work rate he got in this game. He got 30 touches in that game, and he's 5,600. And he's like, you know, Brady feels comfortable with him. I get it with the whole White thing that we've all tried to make happen. And White's obviously this is a split backfield to an extent, but he got elite monster usage in a really must-win situation for them. And again, they're in a must-win situation. You know, I mean, all these games are big for them. So Leonard Fournette is my guy. I like Cam Akers a lot. I said, I don't care if it feels like chasing, like give me a guy with monster workload. You know, he's had like 75% of the snaps the last 2 weeks. The Chargers are a bad run defense. Like, and he's cheap. Like, I think there's really good cheap options today. I mean, I get it. Everyone's going to be playing Miles Sanders, and I think Miles Sanders is fine. But I don't think New Orleans is a bad defense by any stretch of the imagination, and they get a little stronger now with their what's his name back, their shutdown corner. Everyone knows him. I'm just drawing a blank right now. Dean?
I don't know. I'm sorry. I'm reading the chat.
Lattimore.
Yeah, Lattimore is back. Sorry, my brain went dead. Anyways, so. I mean, there's just a lot of running back options, and so give me the cheap guys. What I'm basically saying that I like, that I've honed in on. I think there's lead usage, and I think James Conner is good too. And I like Algier, like Bobby said. Algier is a beast out there. He's huge. Nobody wants to tackle this guy.
If he leads the slate in rushing yards this week, I wouldn't be surprised. Like that's one of those. It wouldn't shock me. Wouldn't shock you, would it?
No, not at all.
Yeah, I mean, he's just kind of snuck up on me this season. Like. You know, now it's a two-headed monster there in Atlanta, and I feel like he's going to get a much bigger piece of the pie than Patterson. Patterson, you know, not somebody that's a part of Atlanta's future theoretically. There's a bunch of questions here in chat. Let's knock these out. I want to talk about receivers as well. Kirkwood, they're asking you specifically, best quarterback play other than Mahomes or Fields, single entry and large field. So, yeah, single entry, large field, Mahomes or Fields. Throw those two out. Who's left? Who's your favorite?
I mean, I'm going to show up with Goff today. And so I should say, but I have the tout in me says I shouldn't tout Goff.
Yeah.
Right. And I should give him but I think Mike White is the low owned play.
That's more of a large field, or is that single entry?
Yeah. But single entry is fine. I mean, it depends. I mean, are we talking like 100-man or are we talking like 1,000-man?
I only have so much information.
Yeah,
but it's a good question.
He's like my deeper one. If Trevor Lawrence, I think, is probably you're going to get an ownership discount. What he said, because I think people are going to talk themselves off of him today.
Let's see. GR Sauce, single entry free agent starting with Robinson and Sanders at running back. Or is that too chalky? I think that's fine, right? I think Robinson and Sanders is fine. I think there's enough guys that maybe there's not going to be one guy that becomes way too jockey. That's sort of my thought process here. Is that okay, Bobby? Robinson and Sanders as a start running back? I think that's okay. No issues?
Yeah, I think it's fine. There's enough ways you can differentiate on the slate. So, yeah, that's not too bad.
All right, Bobby, Andrew needs your help. Etienne, Robinson, St. Brown, Garrett Wilson, all three of my 3 DK max tournaments. Is that a good idea or bad idea? Oh man, I like to differentiate a little bit. Are you okay if you're playing 3 entry max and all 3 entries have all those players?
I think I'm fine. Yeah, Robinson, St. Brown, Wilson. I think they're very good plays. You can differentiate in other places, right?
It
is chalky. I think that's also kind of the question. Like Garrett Wilson on DK is going to be very popular. St. Brown, we mentioned him in passing, but basically,
I get it's chalky. I 100% get it's chalky. What I'm saying is you can build stacks around it that you might. You can differentiate you have 8 spots, right? 9 spots. So I think running a Bridgewater Waddle stack in a lineup like that would be pretty interesting.
Late night hammer for the Pittsburgh-Baltimore game. Wow, we haven't had that in a long time. People that played DFS years ago know that the main slate didn't end until Monday night ended, which was always kind of weird. And then they chopped off Monday night and they kept Sunday night, and now they're down to just they want to rake you as many times as possible. I think Huntley is just kind of sort of someone interesting on FanDuel. Just he's really, really cheap. But Mark Andrews.
This is the Sunday night slate?
Well, no, on FanDuel has Pittsburgh, Baltimore on their main slate because
Okay.
the switcheroo, they don't have the LA game.
Interesting.
They goofed. They didn't wait for the game getting swapped out. But, it's a 35.5 total. Like, what's to get excited about there? Not a lot.
Not a lot, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if you think this is Mark Andrews' week, good luck. Maybe it is. It feels like it's been a long time since this happened.
I've been trying to make Mark Andrews work for the last 6 weeks. So
you've been pairing him with Tom Brady.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You need a quarterback. You need a quarterback to be able to pass. That's the problem with Andrews.
Javon wants to know who would you pair with A-Rod. It's kind of a holding pattern, right, Kirkwood? If Watson is healthy, I think Watson's the best pairing. If he doesn't go, and we're not sure, it's 4:00. It's a true game time decision. I think Lazard's the next best option. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, I'm playing with Lazard and just thinking that Watson is not going to be at full strength. In those lineups, they're going to have Justin Jefferson for sure.
Watson is absolutely made of glass. What's his injury? It's a calf injury?
Hip, I think.
Hip,
right?
Yeah. Oh my God.
What's his touchdown rate? Like, it feels like he scored a touchdown like 20% of the time he's touched the ball this season or something like that.
Oh, he's unbelievable. Just seems like he's always hurt.
And you remember the beginning of the season, Dobbs was the guy.
Yes.
And then Watson, Dobbs got hurt and Watson took over and became the guy. Dobbs is working his way back now. Now, the problem with Dobbs last week, he got a target right off the bat and he dropped it. And it really, that Aaron Rodgers just can't handle that.
I think Dillon's the interesting play in that game because Aaron Jones was on the table several times last week. I don't know. I mean, like, we're not privy to the medicals, but I feel like he's not 100%. He's going to give it a go. This game matters for Green Bay. They're trying to make the playoffs. But I think A.J. Dillon is kind of the sneaky one. I like the Packers side more than the Minnesota side in that game, which is, Minnesota, again, kind of sort of in cruise control outside of Jefferson. Hawkinson's fine, too. Obviously, got to pay for him. Do want to mention, if you guys don't want to mess with, the injuries there in Green Bay, you can just play on Stat Hero. If you're not aware of Stat Hero, it's a unique fantasy sport platform that allows users to compete only against the house, not against other players. You don't have to play against Bobby. You don't have to play against Kirkwood or those hanging out in chat. You participate in a head-to-head style contest for Stat Hero. They're going to provide a lineup that you have to beat with your own, as well as pick'em style contest. Make sure you check out the Big Dime League. It's a season-long leaderboard NFL contest with up to $50,000 in prizes. If you haven't checked it out by now, you're probably too late. It's week 17, but you should have checked it out at some point. We're going to give you a nice deposit bonus as well. Promo code GRINDERS, GRINDERS, 50% deposit bonus up to $250. Jump into the action today at Stat Hero. Kirkwood, cheap DK receivers, some tough work. Garrett Wilson's pretty cheap. He's going to be super popular. He comes preloaded in that if you're playing cash games now. Zay Jones is pretty cheap in the mid-tier. Samuel's pretty cheap. Elijah Moore we talked about. I'm one over on Drake London and his 40% target share or something absurd. I know they don't throw the ball. When they do, not almost definitely, but he's the chalk. Yes.
I've been touting Drake London every single week. And you've been arguing against him.
Well, but you just said you need a quarterback that throws the football. He doesn't have a quarterback that's even willing to try to throw a football.
He's also been arguing against his nickname, the Snake.
Wait, that's not his nickname. That I will stand behind. That is the reason.
No, that's his official nickname.
No,
let's see those snakes in chat. Come on.
No, you're just trying to bully the chat into doing that. But that is not his nickname. Just because his name is Drake.
12, 11, 9 targets the last 3. The guy's electric. Give me this. I love Drake today. I like Garrett Wilson. I love too. Although he's going to be chalk. I think the pivot is Drake.
I think people are going to actually take some in large field stuff, play some Desmond Ridder. Is that insane? I got him on a Rainmaker. I got him on a Rainmaker team.
Yeah, but that's because you're forced to. You're not doing that because you like playing Ridder.
We have a bunch of snakes in chat.
Jake the Snake Roberts. I'll do a snake power rankings later on today, I suppose. It will not
but
be.
I echo your sentiment with Zay Jones. I've successfully touted Zay Jones in each of his big games this season. I think he's a great. Lawrence locks in on him, right? And I don't see why he wouldn't today. I wouldn't have the huge, that massive game expectations with him, but I think he's a great play for 5K. I don't like. It's really Drake, Garrett Wilson, Dortch, and I'm not with you on Elijah Moore.
I was throwing him out as like that's a cheap guy.
Lazard is cheap at 5,400. I mean, that's still pretty cheap.
Give me your official Dortch.
Oh,
stand.
and
you was playing him.
Shahid.
I like Shahid. That's a good one. Olive is playing for what it's worth, but I still think Shahid's in play.
Any
Dortch
Thornton love.
I see. I'm kind of. I just think they're just terrible. Like
Mac is not good.
Yeah, but
he's not been relevant. Tyquan Thornton's not been relevant since week 2 or whatever. Week 5.
The problem I have is it's Matt Patricia calling plays. This guy is the biggest buffoon.
He's got a pencil.
That's fine. That's fine. Cheese would be out there with a pencil too. And
you're saying Cheese is a buffoon?
No, I'm not. I'm saying that's okay. That's not the reason why he's a buffoon.
Yeah.
But this guy, he only knows defense. This is not a guy you want calling play. They're so risk averse. They just run. So it's like just hard to get it right. Like, so if Bourne had his game and Bobby loves Bourne. So did you catch any of Bourne last week?
Yeah, I played a little bit of him.
Yeah.
I also played CMC, so
it happens. Yeah, I mean those, and then if you really want to get like crazy, like no one's talking about Dotson, like he's going to be like minuscule owned for Washington. I think
you like it more than Samuel?
I think Curtis Samuel will get, well, from an ownership perspective, yes. I think he'll get more ownership, Curtis Samuel. But I think Dotson is good.
Hey, how about Brandon Cooks as a run back in this? If you're playing yourself some Zay Jones, I thought he retired or just left the team, but he's back and he scored. He's going to play today and going to try. I don't know what that situation was, but it didn't seem like he was happy with Houston, and I thought he was just gone. But I guess he's playing out the string here. Does anybody like Brandon Cooks as a run back? Bueller?
Why not?
I think there are other options.
Yeah. Okay. I'm just throwing it out there. I'm trying to make stuff work over here. We do have to step aside and make way for Ebeimfohr and TastefulTides, Tim. But I do want to get a final thoughts before we step aside and go. Feel free to use the platform for whatever you want, Bobby. If you want to talk about some tight ends that we haven't talked about, if you want to give your favorite stack of the day, what's the point we want to hammer home as far as today's slate?
I think Jalen Waddle's going to be on the winner today.
Oh, wow. I like it. And you're Teddy, you might play him out. You're not necessarily certain if you're going to have him with Teddy. Maybe?
I'm not necessarily certain if I'll have him with Teddy, but I think he's going to be on the winner. Yeah.
All right. He was being ambitious there, Kirkwood. Be as ambitious as you want to be. No pressure, but feel free to raise. What do you got for me?
Thank you, because you usually you're like, give me a real hot take. And all I can do is tell you what I'm doing, and what I'm doing is Cam Akers and Leonard Fournette today, and that's my take. Is that
I have a build that I like now with that, and you got me going over there too. So,
by the way, I've seen these names. I guess it's worth talking about, and I'm sure these guys will touch on it next when they come after us. But CMC, possible he gets pushed back a little bit. They're talking about in chat Jordan Mason, who I think was a DMP. I don't think he dressed last week. And then TDP actually got going. I know he was one of those best ball guys. And Eric's a best ball guy. He's probably on some best ball teams, and maybe this is the day he's unleashed. Who knows? We'll see. Stay tuned. Maybe it's week 18. Not really sure, but you guys got anything on that? Or we'll save it. We'll save it for Erik and for Tim. Do appreciate y'all watching on the new year. Hit that like button before it comes in too. We'd appreciate that. Like, subscribe, turn on those notifications, hit all the things. Win some money today. Let us know if you win too. It's if I lose all my money, I mean, it's nice to see somebody else went out there that not that I take any credit. I would not victory lap. I would never dare. That's you. You made the lineup. Congratulations. That is Bobby Gomes. That was Kirkwood. I was Dean. For producer Steve. No reason to go anywhere. Erik and Tim are knocking on the door. Win some money today. We're out of here. Out.